Alright everyone, welcome back to another episode of Triad Expeditions, and in this episode we are going to be doing a simple modification and adding some mud flaps basically to the upper fender. That's really what it is. It's a mud flap. So I know that might sound a little weird, but you'll see more of how these go on. They do call them fender extensions, but it's a mud flap. So anyways, these are made by where we actually bought our machine, and I definitely recommend them. Super nice folks down there in London, Kentucky, and they had our machine in stock. They actually had two of them when we had called, and everywhere else was out and was taking names. So yeah, so definitely check them out, especially if you're having a hard time finding some of these more in-demand machines right now. So you can find them at adrenalinecycles.com. Now they make, or they don't, or maybe they do, or somebody there locally near London, Kentucky makes these for them. And I had really decided not to put these on because I didn't necessarily think that I would like the looks of them, and that the verdict is not out on that. But the reason why I'm motivated to put them on, and I'm going to put some video in here for you and kind of show you us going down along the trail with the 360 camera, and then I'll talk about these a little bit more. So as you can see, it was muddy because of the rainy conditions. Chrissy had actually decided to get some good footage, and I'm glad that she did, but she had actually stuck the GoPro out the window, and you can see that here where she puts the GoPro out the window, and it literally was getting covered with mud. And the reason for that is, let me show you the front end of the car there and basically what we're looking at. Now they say, let me take this one here, this is going to be our passenger side, or the right side of the vehicle, and they say that they get basically with these, I think they advertise about 40 to 50% more coverage. It actually gives the car a fender. Now the reason why, you might be asking yourself, well, why don't they just make a bigger fender? And the reason for that is because, you know, you have these big tires on here and you have articulation, and they don't want a fender that basically that's going to come into contact with the tire. Now these are flexible somewhat. They're semi-rigid, and you know, they can be bumped into by the tires, and we'll make sure to pay attention to them to make sure that they don't rub as time goes on with these 35-inch tires, in case you didn't know. We will be doing a tire review here in the future, and I'll be basically talking about my impressions of these tires, so that will be a video that I have already put on the list of videos to do. We will be talking about how these tires behaved during the Hatfield McCoy trip and during muddy conditions, because I was very concerned about that. Obviously they're not going to do as good as other tires that are more specifically designed for mud, but they do behave very well on the highway. In fact, they're one of the few 35-inch DOT tires that you can find. If anybody knows of another 35-inch DOT rated tire out there, make sure to put that in the comments, because I'd like to know if my assessment of that is wrong. So these are going to go somehow right here. So we'll see how this goes. I'm not going to show you step by step as far as how to install them. The instructions that they include with them is they're okay. They have pictures, so that's good. And it does kind of give you like a description of where to trim on your body line. And I'm just going to have to take this by faith. I've seen them installed in photos, and that was the reason why I ordered them, because you know, I definitely felt like this was something that I needed to buy because of the amount of mud. And then this weekend just basically confirmed that. So they do include the hardware also for you. Some like self-tapping screws here, some nuts and bolts that are it's pretty much, it's Can-Am hardware, so that's good. So the hardware will match nicely. I think even the screws are basically Can-Am style screws. So they've definitely you know, did not give you some generic screws, They actually gave you some stuff that was going to match the existing stuff. So, all right, no more talk about this stuff. Let's get it installed and we'll see how it looks. And then obviously if something goes wrong down the trail, the future, definitely I will either take the video down or let you know about it in the comments or whatever. So be looking for that. Just keep in mind that I'm not guaranteeing any fitment here because I'm kind of doing this video beforehand, but I've seen these installed on their machines, and pretty much I think most of the machines that they show in their videos, their Adrenaline Cycles, they have a pretty nice YouTube page. I think they're all pretty much running 35 inches. In fact, that they were the ones that talked me into it. So, all right, let's get these installed. All right, so just as usual, the instructions do fall short. I've put these up in place and I'm really happy about the way they look like they're going to turn out. So obviously I'm going to give you some final thoughts, but let me point out a couple things here. So what I'm getting ready to do here is I'm getting ready to take here at the workbench some Kydex, and it could be a straight edge, it can be a ruler or whatever, and I'm going to heat this plastic here and I'm going to bend this to pretty much a 45-degree angle. The instructions don't make any mention at all of how this hole here at the top, it doesn't even talk about it. It just says once you've put all 3 holes together, then put the 6 bolts or 6 screws here at the bottom. So instructions need to be reworked, guys. If you're watching this video, maybe I'll send it on to you. You definitely need to rework the instructions. But I mean, I like what you're doing here. Pretty cool stuff. Definitely a good idea. I know it's going to work out good. So we won't talk about that too much more because we need to stay on track with this installation. I know I wasn't going to show you step by step, but I need to show you where the instructions fall short. So like I said, I'm going to take the heat gun. I'm going to heat this right here. I'm going to bend this up. I know why they don't do it when they send it to you, because they want to send it to you flat. So that makes sense. It's easier to ship to you and not have to have this bend in there, which changes the dimensions. They can just put it in a big flat envelope basically, or whatever it was. I don't remember how they shipped it to me, but whatever. So all right, I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to go ahead and show you. I'm going to hit stop, and I'm going to show you the other detail that they've kind of really fell short to show you in the instructions. All right, so here is the other part of the installation where the instructions are too vague to really give you what you need to do. So they do mention to measure 2 inches down and then a 1/2 inch this way on the trim. Well, that doesn't really cut it so much. I don't know if they're meaning maybe to slot it, or I don't know. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Not only when Ozzy, sorry about that. So not only is this piece have to be cut, but this inner fender piece has to be cut for that to be able to set flush in there as it bends upward. So hopefully it doesn't look boogered, because I'm kind of making this up as I go. I will tell you what the final results here in a second, but I wanted to capture this detail before I put the fender up there. I've shown you how I'm going to bend the piece to make a 45-degree angle, and then we'll see what the result and what it looks like. But I just kind of recognize that there's really no way. I don't think it's going to sit flush if I don't cut this inner fender. So we'll see how it turns out, and if I tell you to ignore everything I just said, make sure to watch to the end. Alright, so this is the passenger side, and like I said, I was going to bend that upward. So here is the result of that. It's just a nice, it's basically starting from here and following the line somewhat, but it's not quite a 45. If you look at it on edge here, I don't think it needs to be a 45, and it's just kind of a bend that comes around. A nice smooth bend. You don't want a sharp edge because that's going to weaken and stress the plastic more than it needs to be. We'll see how my plastic working skills here as a holster manufacturer. That's kind of what I do all day long, is bend plastic and cut it and sand it to build holsters. So we'll see how this works out. I'll let you know if I needed to make a modification, but I wanted to show you that before I mount it up. Alright guys, I think this worked out pretty darn good. I'm pretty happy with this, and I know it is going to save us a lot of mud being kicked up on our windshield, on us, and on the car itself. So yeah, definitely worth the money. I think the folks there at Adrenaline Cycle price these extremely reasonable. So let's knock out a couple things. I'll give you some final thoughts here in a second. So the bend that I did in the additional trimming, spot on, in my opinion, obviously. As you can see, it just kind of bends down, keeps them right where they're supposed to be. The fact that they left that out of the instructions completely, I don't know if they're just wanting you to manhandle the plastic around there, but that's not good because that's going to stress that. So using a heat gun, you're going to need a heat gun. Don't try to do it with a hairdryer or something like that. I guess you could do it maybe with a, if you really had to. If you didn't have a heat gun or don't know somebody with a heat gun, you could probably use like a an iron or something like that. So yeah, do what you need to do. I'm not gonna make any more recommendations on that because you're gonna distort the plastic with like an iron. If you are gonna use an iron, do it on the non-texture side. So I'll leave it at that. All right, so then with the headset here, I'll give you a little bit of light, and you can see the final step that they have you do is to put these 6 screws here in the bottom. They kind of tell you to do it like 2 inch apart, and they don't give you like actual dimensions, and that's kind of disappointing as well, because the dimensions they actually tell you, you're going to be way too far out on your Fender. So you know, I don't know, you know, obviously they install these, but somebody, you know, makes the instructions, and whether they did a good job or not, I don't think they did. But you know, that's why I make these videos. So I'm not saying I'm like your hero or anything by doing that, but I like the result of this. I'll tell you also how you want to mark these. Those screws go in there really well. I am going to give you the dimensions in my description of how you should put this together. So once that is down there, use like a mini impact or something like that with a nut driver. If you don't have a nut driver, I would suggest pre-drilling these and then taking a nut driver or a socket or whatever you have if you don't have an impact, because they are self-tapping screws that will go right into the plastic. One thing to keep in mind is you are not going to get rid of that. Maybe they would disagree with me on that. This end here goes all the way flush. That's the way, let me get you in frame here. It goes all the way flush. That is the way mine came out. I did not think that I was going to be able to do that bend there. I kind of like the curved look. I don't think that looks unsightly at all. But maybe their intent is for you to run that up into the corner there. I'd rather have the extra fender down here to catch even more mud, and have it stop down there, because that's a nice secure ending, you know what I mean, down there. So just my thoughts on that. Obviously some mud and stuff's going to get in there, but you're going to be able to pressure wash that out of there, no problem. Like I said, kind of like the curved look. So that's the way I did mine. I don't think anybody's really going to give any fuss about that. So let me go over here and show you this. So what I did here is I went 2 inches from the bottom, made a mark, another 2 inches, and another 2 inches. So I did use their 2 inch guideline. So I went 2 inches from the bottom, made a mark. Then I took my rule and went a ½ inch over, and then 1 more inch. And so that's going to give you your 6 holes. If you want to make it easier on yourself, pre-drill these, but I like the idea of the screw going through these nice and tight, and then going through the other plastic nice and tight. So I just ran them in there with my mini impact. So that is how I got those, and I think that's pretty much the additional information that I was looking for to give you. And then the overall impression, yeah, I think it's like a 4-star product, because and it would be 5 stars if they just made better instructions. They should always, like, here, once again, I'm just going to go back to this theory. If you give these instructions to a 12-year-old, they should be able to install them, because 12-year-olds are pretty damn smart. And if it's a mechanically inclined 12-year-old, if they can install it, mission success with your instructions. If you have to like literally fill in the blanks like I did here, I mean, there was like full steps. Like this step here wasn't even mentioned, how to get that bolt in there, or where this flap goes, or that you want to heat this up. I mean, they just totally left that out. So I'm not coming down on you guys. I think you guys do a good job. So just make that clear. I don't want to call up there and say who I am and you guys be hating on me. So I'm definitely not hating on you. Just trying to give you guys some good information, and then trying to basically market this product for you, and also help the folks that do buy it, maybe save you a couple phone calls, because if folks watch this video, I think they're going to be a couple more steps that are missing ahead. So, all right, lots of videos coming out. Trying to think really what the next thing is going to be. I always try to do that. I always try to summarize. There definitely will be, let me just throw a couple more out there that I had not talked about. So here in the back, and this wasn't mentioned in any of the previous videos, so I know sometimes I repeat myself when I talk about what videos are coming up. So here in the back, clutch housing, a couple things are going to happen there. We're going to put a carbon fiber clutch housing in there, so that way it won't ruin the clutch casing or the primary and secondary case if I do destroy a belt at high speed. And then also we are going to do the quick clips so that we can get to this in a hurry, and not have to use the wrench to go around to all the T30s. So that, I'll just leave it at that. That is definitely going to be an upcoming video that we're going to do. I'm going to show you the carbon fiber clutch housing. And so if you want to see that video plus many more videos that will be done in this X3 modification series prior to our departure to Moab, then make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. And everybody be safe out there on the trails. Enjoy your spring and summer. It's well deserved. Get out there and basically treat yourself to a good time. So, all right, thanks for watching. Take care. Be safe.